So thank you for coming in for our presentation. My name is Ward-Vinson, one of the board members for Lovable. I'll be speaking today with Lindsay Ortiz and Megan Ransom. We are Lovable. We're an Austin-based nonprofit. This is our slogan for this year was Texas Size Pity Pride, Education, Advocate, and Rescue. Our mission is promoting responsible guardianship and improving the image of lives of pit bull dogs through education, advocacy, and rescue. This is who we are. We currently have 4 of us on the board. One of our members is out today. Her name is Brandy Monins. And so we just wanted to kind of gauge who's in the audience today. Are y'all who's with shelters? Okay, and then rescue organizations? Awesome. And are you all Texas-based? Are you from out of state? Out of the country? Awesome. Tennessee?
Kansas City.
Oh, Kansas City. I was like, Tennessee, great. Nice. Florida. It's great to see all of you in here today. We're going to just play a quick little video. Lovable was formed on education before we ever started rescuing. We really worked hard for education and advocacy. So every year we do our Texas Size Pity Pride event.
So this is our 6th annual Texas Size Pity Pride event. Well, just that. I saw that they needed that support and advocacy, and I thought that maybe I'm just one person, but sharing my views and my feelings with others, that I could get them on board too, which is what everyone does here with Lovable.
It's really a privilege for me to be here. I love all of our animal welfare organizations and animal promotion organizations like Lovable, especially Lovable. They do such wonderful work here in educating the community about the fantastic nature of this particular breed of dogs. And I see all breeds of dogs here today, everybody getting along great. That is wonderful. And I hope you had a good time on the parade.
There's always a lot more work to be done. I think that no matter what, informing anyone, even just one person, can make the difference for that one pit bull. So the job is never done. There's always lots of more work to do.
So with that said, we love our dogs, and people really, I'm sure you all know, working in the shelter and the rescue environment, people love their dogs. So I'm going to pass it over to Megan Ransom to go through advocating for equality in our shelters and rescues.
Good afternoon. Move this down, sorry. All right, so we're just going to go through, of course we're here to talk about equality for all breed of dogs, but our specialty is pit bull type dogs, and I'm sure as many of you experience every day in your work in the animal welfare world, there's an overabundance of pit bull type dogs. So we're going to start out what works in our community. Shelters and rescue organizations working together, forming bonds with one another to work together and form networks. Of course, Austin Animal Center here in Austin, I think, does a great job of this. There's open communication. Of course, APA is always there helping and pulling dogs. But some of the other smaller groups, including us, there's other breed-specific rescues. There's an email network of us. So a dog comes into the shelter, to Austin Animal Center, maybe on a short timeline. There's an email that goes out, hey, this dog needs some help. Who can take him? Whether, no matter what the breed is. And also at the same time, I think the Austin Animal Center does a great job of when new rescues come along. There's always new groups popping up. And as many of us know, and recently in the news, you don't always know the backstory or the history or exactly where those dogs are going. So our city shelter will reach out and say, hey, who's heard of this group? Should they become a rescue partner? What's your thoughts? What do you think? Let's all work together and make sure we're providing the best for the dogs in our community. Forming relationship with local city officials and the media. Weekly media spots on TV. I know all of our news stations locally work with APA, with Austin Animal Center. They get adoptable dogs on the news. We have articles in the Statesman. So whether you're from a large community or a small community, just having those media outlets working with you is a great way outside of Facebook and social media to get your dogs noticed. Promoting all dogs equally. So I didn't highlight it, but as you can see kind of right here, this is a copy of the records, one of the dogs we pulled from Austin Animal Center, and it says looks like. It doesn't say breed. It says looks like, and it says pit bull mix. So that's something that's relatively new in our community, and we all think it's awesome. At least Lovable thinks it's awesome. But it's great, visual breed identification is so wonky, who really knows at the end of the day? So why not say looks like and not sell this dog short regardless? And also staying away from negative stereotypes. This is Karma down here in the corner, one of the dogs we rescued from our program, and it's really easy when you see a dog with cropped ears or they come in with scars all over them to say, oh, this was a fight dog. Like, my dog was a bait dog or from a fighting ring. And yes, we've pulled dogs from dogfight busts all over the country, so we know they come into our program, they have that breed history of being a fighting dog, and maybe we're a little more cautious or thoughtful in that, but we're not quick to make assumptions when we see dogs with cropped ears. And 9 times out of 10, you see a dog with cropped ears, a bad crop job is really an indicator of a backyard breeder or an uneducated person trying to have a show dog. So encouraging community and volunteer involvement. So I know we have both rescue and shelter groups here. We're 100% volunteer. None of us are paid. I call it my second full-time job. So I think our community does a really great job of not only having different rescues and groups that focus maybe on specific dogs, but our shelter does a really great job. We have small volunteer groups that focus on specific dogs. So Classic Canines, for example, for those of you that aren't from the Austin area, it's with the Austin Animal Center, and they focus on the older dogs. So the dogs that come into the shelter, I don't know their exact age limit, but the older dogs that maybe need a little marketing, need a little boost. They also have hard luck hounds. So the dogs that have been in the shelter for a while, or maybe they're high energy, so they act out more and don't really show too well. They have a group that, all volunteer. They come together and they do training classes. They get these dogs out and they really work with them to kind of help support the underdog. And what works for us? So as I said, we are 100% volunteer, so we know this can be done. Most all of the individuals that work with our group also have other full-time jobs. So we were founded on education and advocacy, as Leela said, and as we've started to grow, one of our programs is a rescue. So we have a number of off-site adoptions. We don't limit ourselves to just one place. We don't go to the Petco every weekend. And I know some communities are small, and maybe that's the place, that's your niche, that's where you go. But we really try to think outside of the box. We go east, north, south, west. We have Santa photos at Harley-Davidson. We try to go to places outside of just maybe pet stores, that we could catch somebody off guard. Maybe they didn't know they were looking for their next family member that just happens to be a pit bull type dog, but they see him that day and they fall in love. So we set up booths at local festivals other than just dog-focused events. So Austin is the live music capital of the world. There's South by Southwest, Fun Fest. Piggybacking on those events, setting up your booth with some literature, having a couple cool dogs out there in Adopt Me vest, even just walking down a busy part of your town when a festival is going on with a dog in an adoption vest is a great way to gain some attention. There's also, Lindsay just mentioned the Austin Kite Fest coming up in our local city shelter. It's going to have a booth set up there. And so Lovable, another program of ours, it's the Pit Crew. So it's an all therapy dog, or all pit bull type dog therapy program. So the dogs train, they go through the therapy training, they get certified, and we visit different locations, nursing homes, domestic violence shelters, elementary schools. So one of the elementary schools we have a relationship with in East Austin, we attend their annual school festival every year. And we take some of the pit crew dogs and they're out. We have our booth, it's pretty laid back. We're not out there to shove the dogs in anyone's face or talk necessarily about spay and neuter. It might come up, but it's just a great way to engage people and bring dogs to light, especially pit bull type dogs, show the good in them out and about. So we are a foster home based rescue. All of our dogs that are pulled into our program, they go into foster homes. So that way we can learn about them with cats, with kids, with other dogs. And I know not everyone has that luxury, especially open intake shelters. But just having even a small foster program where dogs go home on the weekends and they get out of that kennel and somebody gets a picture of them snuggled up on the couch, or if they're allowed, or next to another dog, really getting some pictures that bring them to light, find out some personal information about them that you can add to their bio. That makes a world of difference. For our foster program, we provide training. So we utilize our local shelter, one of their rooms. They allow us to use it. We do monthly training classes that work towards the Canine Good Citizen Certificate. So all the dogs in our program are going through training. They're learning their basic manners. They're learning things. So when they're out and about at adoption events, we encourage our fosters to have a treat bag on their hips. So they're working on things, showing the public how great these dogs really can be. We provide them with supplies, our fosters, and again, and know that's limited resources depending on where you are, but creating relationship with local businesses, really getting those partnerships. I mean, we get food donated. We have a local color business, Melly's Colors here in Austin. They have a model, for everyone they sell, they donate one to a rescue. So we get martingales donated to us, and we've really worked to build those relationships, and it makes such a difference when you can provide that and help your fosters. And lastly, with our fosters, we always allow them to be part of the adoption process. It's so important. They're the ones that know the dog best, and even the volunteers, say you have a volunteer that has a favorite at the shelter, or you as a volunteer have a favorite. I think being engaged and involved in the adoption process for that dog is so important. And finding families for dogs. You know your dogs, or you have specific volunteers that know your dogs. Sorry. Match your pups with the right home, not just any home. For my daytime job, I work in foster and adoption for human kids, and our motto is we find families for children, not children for families. So, I mean, I think that's really what we try to go by in our specific rescue. We really want to find these good homes for the dogs that are the right fit. We allow our adopters to do trial runs. We don't push them off on them. We encourage them to do trial runs before they adopt. So that works for us. And these are all dogs that we've adopted out into great, loving homes. Pit bull type dogs are just dogs. Treat them that way. There's no reason to have special rules applying to certain breeds. These are some breed discriminatory policies you can see here, and that's not something, we don't have blanket restrictions. Individuals that don't have pit bull type dog experience, like that's not what we do. Speaking of, pit bulls can be great first dogs. Requiring experience sells both your dogs and your adopters short. And all of these are dogs we've adopted out that are still in their forever homes, knock on wood, into great homes with first-time dog owners. And they can be great family pets too. Treat each child and a dog as an individual and match them with the right homes. Shelter and adoption policies that work. So we have a link on here from Stubby Dog, which is a nonprofit transmedia organization that focuses on changing public perceptions of pit bulls and dismantling the associated stereotypical thinking. So they have a really great and realistic re-examination of some shelter policies that really work. Don't be paralyzed by liabilities concerns. You hear all these horror stories. Many shelters and rescues do not adopt out pit bulls just for this reason, but according to animal law experts, shelter and rescues can effectively manage risk by doing the following: observing, documenting, disclosing, and transferring. And use photos to paint a picture. This kind of goes along with getting your dogs out of the kennels, not utilizing pictures of your dog behind bars to help market them, especially, pit bull type dogs, getting them out there, letting them engage with people and getting pictures. Here's some more. These are all babies that have been through our program. But a picture, it's worth 1,000 words. We have a great group of volunteer photographers from our community that come out and donate their time and talents to taking these great pictures. And so I'm just going to touch on housing. Moving on, and how many people in here have heard of people with pit bull type dogs experiencing issues in finding housing? And I think we're seeing that's a national thing happening, and it's continuing to happen and get worse. I know Lovable, we've been working for years with local apartment complex and corporations trying to get in the door and find out, what do we need to do, what's happening, why is this happening? Animal activists say the problem is that when people cannot take their dogs with them, they end up in the pound roughly a third of the time. And one thing we are seeing, especially in breed-specific organizations that are discriminated against, we're seeing a movement of programs developed to keep owners with their animals, to help find home. We have a page on our website for pit bull friendly housing in Austin and surrounding areas. We have links to realtors that are willing to work with people, guardians of pit bull type dogs. We also have different apartment complexes. We have someone actively working on that and identifying apartment complexes that do not discriminate according to breed. And these are some best practices for guardians, some things they can do and you can share with your adopters when they're adopting a pit bull type dog or any of the breeds that are discriminated against. Giving yourself time, knowing it may be difficult, understanding the situation. If the landlord or insurance broker, if you're trying to get insurance or housing and it's not working with one person, just move on to the next. You can find something that is possible, and keeping spirits up and helping and supporting these people who love their family members and want to keep them in their home. Science and honesty, call the dog a mixed breed dog, but only if the dog is a mixed breed. And again, that goes back to visual identification. Who really knows at the end of the day? I mean, you can get a DNA test and use that in one way or another. And obedience training. Again, all the dogs in our program go through some type of obedience training, working towards their CGC. That's a great way to have when you turn in your application. You say, here's my dog, and here's his or her CGC certificate. Insurance. So that's another hot topic that never seems to die down. Having the right insurance can enable a landlord to lease without discrimination, and offering to obtain renter's insurance can help convince a hesitant landlord to lease. So we've listed all of the insurance carriers that do not discriminate. Of course, there's a number out there that do. And State Farm has a nationwide policy against breed discrimination specifically. That's one thing we do know. And Liberty Mutual requires a CGC certificate. And we have some resources on our website with all of that. Talking to landlords. So these are great talking points that you can offer to your adopters and guardians of pit bull type dogs. Offer to do a meet and greet. Let people see firsthand the good behavior of your dog. If you can't, send a picture and a letter outlining your dog's story and meaning in your life. Highlight your dog's role in the community. How do you, for example, we encourage, we have a membership program, so if you're a member of Lovable, you have access to our free training classes, and you also can say, hey, I'm a member of this great group that advocates for responsible ownership. So there's different ways that you can show your engagement with your dog in the community that can help people change their minds. And create a resume. So we have a pet resume. Who's heard of a pet resume? It's pretty cool, huh? So Savable is where we grab this from, and they actually have a template. So people can pay, and they can create it for you, or you can just go on and scroll through their templates and find out some great information on how to present your dog when you're finding housing. So there's lots of resources out there and ways to make it work, and that's just we're always trying to stay positive and encourage people that we're here to support in the community, and that there's ways to make it work so they can adopt a pit bull type dog or stay with their family. And at the end, we have lots of resources up here, but we do have a one-pager from Bad Rap about renting with your pit bull.